Hi, my name is Galen McCown, and welcome to the tutorial for Super Sniper, specifically on TTS. So I've started a game in hot seat mode in order to demonstrate the two-player game, which is what this video will teach today. So when you get in, once both players have taken seats, the scripting pays attention to how many seats are filled. So if only one seat is filled and you hit start, it'll pop up the solo mode. So make sure everybody picks a color, and then you'll hit the start button, and it will immediately take you to the two-player game. I'm going to take you through how to play dual mode today, which is the one with simultaneous turns, but at the end I'll explain how to do the real-time version, the quick draw mode, which is a very easy adjustment. So each player will select their character just simply by hitting the button, and you've got 4 different characters to choose from here. For today's example, I will just grab Jane, and then I will go ahead and switch seats and have them select Gunhead. Okay. And you'll see that it kind of automatically populates what you need on your side, your basic ability card, your adrenaline ability card, and it'll populate your opponent's targeting disc, wherever you chose. So next we just hit ready over here, and it will set up for the first round of the game. Okay. So welcome to Super Snipers. I will leave it to you to read the rulebook for the background flavor text, but suffice to say, it's you versus another sniper, and the first person to kill the other one 3 times is going to be the winner. Each game is played in a series of rounds, and every round ends with a kill. Each round is broken up into 3 phases and then a cleanup. And conveniently, each phase works from the middle of the board, starting with a hiding phase, then towards you to the locate grids for the locate phase, and then lastly we come here for the targeting phase on the scope board. Okay, so like I said, the very first thing we're going to do is the hiding phase. So you'll see in your hand, you'll have 3 cards. One will have your avatar on it, and the other 2 will say miss. And when you're hiding, you're actually going to be hiding in front of your opponent's locate grids, because that's where they're going to be looking for you, and this is where you're going to be looking for your opponent, right? So we choose which one we want to go to, and each one of these is labeled with a number in the upper left corner, 1, 2, or 3. And the lower the number, the easier it is for your opponent to shoot you there, like the less obstacles they have to deal with. And the more higher number, the more challenging it'll be. You'll also notice that everything out here has been given a description, so if you're curious about a rule, you can just kind of hover over it and you'll get a little bit of an explanation of what the thing does, right? So hopefully that'll be helpful in reinforcing the rules. The rule book is also pretty thorough. Going to be, we have reference cards. These are going to be replaced with a larger reference card that's a little bit more pictures, less words, and should be easier to use, so that'll be coming soon. Anyways, back to the hiding phase. So we pick where we want to go, and there's a reason why you might not always want to hide at the most difficult spot right away, and you'll understand that as we go a little bit further. So let's say we're going to hide at space 2. We flip our card over so that they can't see where we're going, and we place all 3 cards out, and they will do the same. Okay, we're not going to bother placing out the opponent's cards right now because I'm just giving an example how to play. So let me go ahead and bring those back on this side just for example's sake. Okay, so that was the hiding phase. You place your hiding cards down, you're done. Now we move on to what's called the locate phase. So from here on out, once you start here, all turns are going to be taken simultaneously, and you know what that means is that you're each going to take a turn, you're going to wait for the other person to be done, and then you will start your next turn. So kind of the way we coordinate that in TTS, and it also has some neat scripting in with it, keep forgetting to move this bag, there we go, is you've got these little ready discs, right? And so when they're both flipped to ready, just one person confirms, are you ready? And they both say yes, you're going to flip them to go to show that you're ready, and then you're going to take your first piece in your line of sight here and place it. And so really quick, these are called focus. They're polyominoes in the same exact shapes you see in Tetris. There are purple, gold, and gray ones. Again, in the classic 5 Tetris shapes, there's 3 of each kind, okay? And so from now on, I'm going to refer to these as focus. And what you see here on your scope board is called your line of sight. So this is like a conveyor belt, right? This first piece is always going to be the next one you place, and this is the next one coming, and they're going to keep moving on a conveyor belt. So you take your focus and you're going to place it on any one of these locate grids up here in an attempt to find your opponent. So really quick, the goals up here, in order to reveal the hiding card above, you need to do what's called isolate the crosshairs in the center of one of these locate grids, and you isolate them by using focus to cut them off from the border. So let's go ahead and use an example over here. So let's say, and you can flip them, you can rotate them any way you want. While you are in TTS, I highly recommend keeping your degrees on 90. That's going to help you play the game correctly. So you place the piece. Focus have to do a couple of rules when placing focus. One, they have to start on the edge of a grid, right, when you first place them of any color. And then on your next turn, if you place on a grid where there's already a focus of that color, it has to chain with it. And chaining just means it has to connect orthogonally. So I will demonstrate that in just a minute. So let's say both players place their pieces. You both flip back to ready to show that you're ready. When you flip to ready, it automatically repopulates your line of sight. Some nice scripting here by Alexi Menardo. And then you both confirm ready, and you say go. From now on, I'm just going to use my side. Okay, so now we place our next piece. And like I said, I could start a fresh chain of purple anywhere on any of these grids. But if I choose, or these two grids, 1 and 2, but if I choose to place it 3 where it already is, I have to chain, which means I have to connect it orthogonally. So I could not do this, and it's hard to make the example here because they have to stay on the grid, but also that would not be chaining. That is diagonal connection. It needs to be a orthogonal connection. Okay, so I placed, again, I'm going to go again, and so now let me give an example of isolating. So in this case, the crosshairs have been completely cut off from all borders. As you can see, right, it's okay if there's space in here, it just has to be cut off. And I would flip the card in front, and I would see whether I found them or not. And so in this case, it would be a miss. Okay. A couple other things about locate grids. You'll notice these little surveillance squares, or surveillance tiles here, and how they have 2 colors each, right? And so what happens with those is if you cover those with a matching colored focus, so let me just make an example here. So if on my first turn I instead did this, I put a purple on here, because that one has purple, one of the colors, I would complete what's called surveillance. And what that means is as soon as I do that, I'm going to draw a focus from my bag. I'm going to place it to the left here where it says surveillance on the board. This is, this will help me catch up at the point that I do find them. So if they find me more quickly and it's taking me a while to find them, as long as I'm covering surveillance, once I do find them, I'll be able to, as part of the same turn, place anything I have in surveillance. So pay attention to that as you play. Okay, so that covers surveillance. Again, turns are simultaneous at the point where we have found them. So let's just say we did complete this grid and we found them. We're going to take the target grid that matches the number of the locate grid. So in this case, it would be 2, right? So we'd come over to our pile over here. You can see the numbers in the upper left corner. So there's 1, here's 2. You're going to place it right in here. You're going to hit L to lock so you don't accidentally bring it up. And you are going to populate everywhere that has these innocents with a innocent meeple. Okay. And you are going to take the targeting disc and place it wherever that targeting thing symbol is in the middle, the primary target symbol, excuse me, targeting thing. And then as part of the same turn, right, so I found them, part of the same turn, I would be able to place any surveillance I have. These follow the same exact rules I discussed before. Each type has to start from an edge, and if you're going to place a focus and there's already a color of that type down, it has to chain, which means connect orthogonally, right? And so, for example, I could place my surveillance here. Okay. Goals during the target phase. Here's what you are trying to do. You're attempting to, number one, actually the order doesn't matter, but you are attempting to isolate all innocents. And so isolation is similar to what we discussed before. You are cutting them off from the border, but additionally, they have to be separated from this primary target. Okay, so you have to cut them off. There can be spaces in between. Diagonals are fine for cutting off. Let me see if I can do an example here. Really quick. I know I'm doing things out of order, but just to kind of demonstrate. So. Terrible demonstration right now. Anyways, were there to be a diagonal that was part of their isolation, that would be fine. It's just chaining that you have to worry about orthogonal. Okay, so coming back. So we are attempting to isolate innocence, right? So this innocent would be isolated. It's cut off from the borders and the primary target. You're attempting to isolate the primary target entirely within this kill box, so that red square there, right? And so things can get a little bit tricky, especially when innocents are inside there too. But ultimately, you know, you have to be able to cut them off. And I won't demonstrate the whole thing right now. You have to cut them off within the kill box to isolate them, and you have to leave enough room to use your bullet here, which is this special shaped polyomino on the left, because at the point that you've isolated all innocents and isolated the primary target, as part of the same turn, you can immediately place your bullet in such a way that it covers the primary target. It can be rotated any which way. It just can't overlap other focus. It has to be able to fit within there. When you've done that, you have made the kill, and you will advance to the next round. Okay. Couple other things about the scope board and target phase. So you will notice that there are bonus tiles on the board, and so there's one that matches the gray focus, one that matches the gold focus, one that matches the purple focus. Okay, similar to above, if you cover them with a matching focus, so in this case, if I covered this, I would earn the corresponding bonus down on the bottom here. Okay, so same color focus covered unlocks the bonus. Let's talk about the bonuses from left to right. The first one is called exchange. When you earn this one, you flip it over and you immediately grab a focus from your bag and you put it down below. And what happens is from now on your turn, here, let's make that proper chain. If I want to, I can take, instead of placing the piece that I was about to place, I can put it down in the reserve, and I can place the one that's down here instead. I can exchange it that way, right? So I could do something like that. And now, on future turns, I can switch with whatever's in the reserve. So that stays active for the entire round. It's a little different than the other bonuses in that way. The next one is concentrate. With this one, so previously I explained the rule that if there's a color focus down there and you bring another of that type, you have to chain to it. So this allows you to break that rule and start a brand new chain with any focus type. So let's say this was next to my line of sight. If I wanted to, when I placed it, I could use my concentrate and start a brand new chain over here. The last one is move, and this allows you to do one of two things. One, you can use it to pick up a piece that you previously placed and place it again anywhere on the board following the normal rules. You can use this to break chains. Just be aware that if you do uncover a bonus tile, you can't earn it again. Bonus tiles can only be activated once per round. Same thing for the surveillance tiles. They can only be activated once per round as well. The other thing that move can do, other than moving a piece on your board, is you can use it to steal any focus from your opponent's line of sight and put it at the front of yours. So we could use it to do that as well, and then that becomes the next piece you're going to place, right? So you can pay attention to what your opponent's doing and mess with their plans that way. That is what the bonuses do. Really quick, jumping up to these little tokens up here, these recalibrate tokens, you'll see there's a little arrow that points up to the locate grids and down to the target. That's because these can be used anytime in either of those phases. So if you make a mistake, or you set yourself up and now you can't fit your bullet, you realize you can't do it, you can always, at any point on your turn, flip one of these and discard a piece that you've previously placed. These can be used strategically, or they can be used to get yourself out of a jam. I'll let you figure out how to do that. If you've ever used both and you need them again, you can skip a turn to be able to reset them. And that is how things work during the target phase. So again, isolate innocence, isolate primary target, leave enough room for the bullet, place the bullet, you make the kill. I'm going to come back to player powers in just a minute, but let me show you kind of what happens. So we make the kill. Keep your eyes on the gun over here. I love this little piece of scripting. And whoever makes the kill is going to hit this little crosshairs on the left side. Makes the shot, sends over the bullet, and you click next round. And you'll see a couple things have happened. One, I should have left it over. Okay. The locate grid where I was hiding, which should have been on the opponent's side. Please don't let me confuse you there. I use this as an example. So because I would have been hiding over there, wherever my avatar was, the person who takes the shot, that location disappears for the rest of the game. And the reason for that is basically, or thematically, what happens is that location's been compromised. The shot was heard. They send people in to secure that location. You can no longer use that anymore. So that does a couple things. You know, one, in the next round, your opponent, or you, let's say the opponent won in this case. We'll just use that as an example. They now only have 2 places tied. So it's going to be a little bit easier for me to find them. And that comes back to the idea of why, you know, where you choose to hide matters, because that location is now gone for the rest of the game. So again, we'll use my opponent as the example. They can now only hide at 1 and 3, and as you see, 1 only has 1 innocence, while 3 is a very tough location. So if you leave yourself only 1 at the end, your opponent's going to have a pretty easy time shooting you. You got to be careful about that. Okay. So, right, locate grid of wherever the winner was disappears from the game, is gone for the rest of the game, and a couple other things happen. Back to the example of me as the winner, and I'm sorry to make this confusing. The winner earns tactical advantage, so this little one will flip over automatically in here. And what that does is at any point during the next round, I can flip this to rearrange my line of sight, right? So I can take this and put it there, for instance. So just gives me a one-time ability that you earn for being the winner. Okay, so that's what tactical advantage does. The loser, and let's flip over to the other side to demonstrate this really quick. A couple things happens for them. One, this adrenaline piece populates underneath your line of sight. And what this is it's a special focus that instead of placing your next line of sight, you can place this instead, and it can go absolutely anywhere on the grid as long as it's not covering a crosshairs or an innocent or the primary target. But otherwise, it doesn't have to chain, doesn't have to connect to other focus, and it's this special 3-piece shape. So it's really good at being able to finish in isolation. You probably want to save it for your target phase, but you can use it at the locate phase as well if you wish. So you earn that adrenaline token, which is a little, part of the catch-up mechanism of the game. The second thing that happens is you will, this card was flipped, but you'll earn an adrenaline ability that you'll get to use in addition to your basic ability. So let me talk about player abilities really quick. Just going to put a target grid in there for an example. So now that you know the rules of the game, each sniper has abilities that break fundamental rules of the game in some interesting way. So for Jane, for example, over here, you can see that hers is your bullet may overlap other focus. That's her trick shot. So what that means in practice, where I told you before, as you isolate your primary target, you have to leave enough space for this bullet token. With Jane, you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't matter how tight the focus is. When it comes time to make the kill, I'm allowed to overlap them. So as long as so that makes things significantly easier for her. Jane's a great one to use for a beginner. And then let's look at our adrenaline ability. So that is the basic ability is usually a one-time ability, and then the adrenaline ability tends to be active for the whole round, and it's only active on a round after you were shot. Okay, so for her adrenaline ability, she gains multiple perspectives. You may treat all focus on your location grids as if they were in the exchange. So before we discussed in the exchange how you can take the piece that you're about to place and you can exchange it with the exchange. Now she can treat, and you don't have to earn the exchange to do this, anything that she's placed on her locate grid. So let's say, and before she got here, she had a couple of pieces up here. Now instead of, I can take my next piece and I can trade it with anything up here. I just put it on the grid, it doesn't have to fit, and now I can place this instead. So it increases significantly the number of pieces you have to choose from in building your puzzle. Very good adrenaline ability. Let's flip back over to Gunhead to just talk about his quick. I'm not going to cover every sniper in here, but just to give you kind of the flavor of what happens. All right, and for Gunhead's ability is that once per target phase, he can activate all bonuses. So the normal rule is you have to cover a bonus with a matching tile, and each bonus can only be activated once. Gunhead breaks that rule. So timing is up to you. You can activate them right away and then earn them again later, or you can earn them, use them, and then activate them again. Just remember that you can only do it once per phase. Additionally, activating exchange twice is meaningless. The exchange, when it's active, is just active for the whole round. And for instance, his adrenaline ability is machine learning. Every time the enemy uses a bonus, draw one focus. So part of the game, as you're playing this game, you announce everything that happens. I'm searching location 1. I've found you. I've isolated an innocent. I've earned the exchange bonus. I'm using the exchange bonus. Helps keep the pressure on your opponent and keeps them notified of what's happening. Additionally, with a power like this, they know when to activate it. So if you're the opponent of Gunhead and they have adrenaline, if you use any of these bonuses down here, he immediately gets to pull the focus from the bag and place it right away. Disincentivizes you from using your bonuses, or if you decide to incentivize this, or helps out Gunhead in winning. So that is everything through the round, from the hide phase to the locate phase to the targeting phase and the kill and the cleanup and the adrenaline and the player powers. That kind of covers it. The last thing I'll cover, because it's kind of a TTS specific thing, is at least during duel mode, there is the possibility of shooting one another at the same time. And so if that ever happens, let me kind of show you what happens. So let's say, we both shot each other at the same time. I'm just going to bring out the player cards because that's the one that activates, okay? So we know this happened. What we have to do is either player can pull the trigger first, okay, click next round, and then reset up the other players wherever they were. Sorry, I don't know which one is going to be the hiding card. Nope. And then have them pull the trigger so that the scripting goes correct, the proper number of kills, and the locate grids disappear. The only other thing you have to remember to do is that the bonuses that you get as being the winner, you're both the winner, so both players get tactical advantage, and you both got shot, so both players also get adrenaline. So you have to fight the scripting a little bit when that happens, but that's how you set it up. That's the game. I hope you have... oh yeah, one last thing. If you play this and enjoy it and you want to try it real time, which is my favorite way to play, the way you do that is instead of this, the ready, go, and making sure that everybody's taking the turns at the same time, when you take your turn, you simply flip the 10-second timer, and after you've placed your piece and the 10-second timer is up, which we'll see in a second, you'll get a little beat, you'll see a little thing, and it's up, you can flip and you can start your next turn. So you can take your time, but your opponent might get ahead. So a little bit more pressure with this. Again, if I didn't already say, when you move between the different phases, everything is still happening at the same time. So if I'm in the target phase and you're still in the locate phase, we're still taking turns at the same time. And that is everything. I would love to hear your questions and any feedback you may have, and I would really appreciate people going to www.supersnipersgame.com and following along for the Kickstarter. Thank you so much.